Welcome back to the Baseball Blue Book Podcast, where we focus on the journey, not the destination. Brought to you by the Baseball Blue Book app. Are you in the book? And now, your host, Eric Wobanaw. All right, welcome back to the Baseball Blue Book Podcast. Eric Wobanaw here, president of the Baseball Blue Book. Excited to start the week off with Coach Will Kaufman at Erskine College. How are you doing, Coach?
I'm doing great.
Awesome. Well, why don't you go ahead and do a quick introduction and just a little bit of who you are, and we'll get into the questions and get this thing going.
Sure. Yeah. No, So I'm the associate head coach at Erskine College. I've been there. This will be my fourth year right now. Before I was here, I spent 2 years as the volunteer assistant at the University of Pennsylvania. For a year and a half before that, I was at Arcadia University, kind of as the hitting coach and recruiting coordinator there. And then before that, I spent one semester at Birmingham Southern. Just kind of as a volunteer, just right out of college, not knowing what it would look like. And I was fortunate enough for Jan Weisberg there to give me a start, and everybody since to give me the path to where I am today.
That's awesome. One of the things that I love to hear is all the opportunities that everybody is getting as they kind of venture into the coaching world. I probably couldn't do it without the help and the assistance of a lot of really good coaches out there, and I'm sure that you feel the same way.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's a big networking thing, and you got to find the people that you trust and you want to be around, and surround yourself with the right people, and you'll be in the right spaces.
Absolutely. And networking is absolutely right. I always laugh, and I always thank everybody that I have podcasts with. It's quite the fraternity, the coaches fraternity. And I feel like I've been let in the door, not necessarily part of it, but I get to kind of get in a glimpse into the fraternity house and see how things work. So excited to get into this and learn a little bit about you. So I appreciate you joining us here at the Baseball Blue Book Podcast. So we love to talk about journey. The destination is never reached in baseball. And the neat thing about baseball is it seems like so many people just stay in the game. And I think that's kind of, hearing your story beforehand, it was really your story, never wanting to get out. You knew you wanted to be in baseball, didn't necessarily know where you wanted to go. So before we get to that, let's start at the beginning, kind of at the high school years, what it was like, your focus and what you kind of wanted to do there at that time, and then how it kind of morphed or transitioned to what you're doing today.
Yeah, no. So I mean, in high school, I played baseball for 4 years on varsity, and my dad actually coached our travel teams. So he was a big deal back in New York. He coached a Little League World Series team, and then when he moved down to be the GM of a minor league team, he kind of stayed in Virginia. So he coached my teams growing up, and I knew I wanted to play college baseball since I was young. Kind of went through the recruiting process with Baseball Factory at the time,
okay,
with Dan Mooney, and they kind of directed me on, what are some schools that I could play at. And, I started doing my research. I went on some visits. I did some camps, and, I kind of fell on Radford and California University of Pennsylvania, which is now Penn West, California. And the program at Cal was just one that I wanted to be a part of. Mike Conti, the head coach, is still there. Instilled a lot of things that I still do today. And I knew that was the program that I wanted to go to. So, when I got there, I redshirted my first year. And then I thought that was one of the best things I ever did. I graduated in 3.5 years. I got my MBA, and, I finished baseball the same year I graduated. So, my time at Cal really kind of pushed me to knowing that I wanted to do baseball for the rest of my life. Playing for a guy like Mike Conti, you can't be a guy that is not enthusiastic. I think that guy is one of the most enthusiastic people in the baseball game. So, I knew I wanted to do this for the rest of my life. I just didn't quite know exactly what I wanted to go into.
Yeah.
My last December going into my senior year, I went out to the winter meetings in San Diego to see if I wanted to do scouting or if I wanted to do something in that realm. Had some meetings with some people, and I kind of realized, I want to go get my own players, and I want to be able to coach them as well. I want to be able to recruit my guys, have them come in and be able to teach them. So, if I'm in a scouting program, I got to kind of see what they want in their organization. And then, if I'm coach, I got to be under a hitting director and kind of push their agendas, which is great. But, I wanted to run my own offense. So I started reaching out to some college baseball teams to see, how that process would go.
That's awesome. That's great. You mentioned kind of finding the right fit at Cal. What do you mean by that? When there's so many things that a lot of coaches talk about the fit, finding the right fit. What was that for you? Not obviously it was the coach and kind of his excitement for the game. But what else? What were some of the other factors that went into making that decision?
Yeah, so I kind of narrowed it down to about 5 schools originally. JMU, ODU, Radford, and Cal, really. I went to a game at JMU. I went to a game at ODU. I went to a game at Radford. I kind of realized at that time that I probably wasn't good enough player to play at ODU. JMU had a sophomore catcher that was hit 25 home runs. I knew that I'd probably sit on the bench for a little while before that.
Okay.
Radford was a good fit, and Cal was a good fit. At that time, I really liked the staff at Radford, but it was a little too close to home for me. It was only about 20, 30 minutes, and I wanted to branch out. So, stepping on campus at Cal, I knew that there was going to be 12, 13,000 people. I wanted a bigger school. I wanted to be, in the Northeast next to a big city. It just kind of was a good fit as far as meeting the guys on the team, being able to fit in with those guys, and being able to be a part of the culture that I thought, the guys around me and the guys that were teaching me had a good relationship. And, I felt at home.
That's awesome. You sound like you absolutely did your homework. Unlike probably a lot of players these days. And I'm sure that had something to do with your dad kind of in the position that he was at. What was that really what helped you kind of do this the right way? Because most people, and it's funny, I've talked to so many coaches, they said, I went on one visit and that, boom, I made the decision and maybe it wasn't the right thing. You really did your due diligence. You're methodical on what you did. You knew what you wanted. Was that kind of just you in advanced maturity, or was that really a help from the people that surrounded you?
No, it was absolutely a help from the people surrounding me. I mean, I got a random letter from Baseball Factory, and I just decided to go to a camp one time, and I met Dan Mooney, and those guys over at Baseball Factory really kind of showed me what the process is supposed to look like. What was I supposed to do? What questions to ask? What they asked me what was important to me, and then from there, I kind of give them a big list of schools, and they helped me narrow it down to saying that these would be good fits for me.
That's
and then,
great.
They showed me what I should ask, what I should go, and what I should do. So. I owed a lot to those guys and my dad and my mom for helping me kind of figure out what I wanted.
It's so important. When you're a high school kid, you think you got everything figured out, and to be able to kind of step back and let somebody else help you navigate, because it is quite complex. There's so many opportunities. There's so many choices. And it's difficult to actually make that choice on your own. And so reaching out for people that actually know what they're doing, that makes a lot of sense. So your program, you kind of, you did some assistant work, not really volunteer work, but unpaid positions. Talk about each step and some of the challenges that you had and the victories that you had, and what you kind of took with you to what you can apply to today in your role as the associate head coach.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's not an easy route for baseball coaches coming out if you haven't played at an SEC school and fall into one of those routes. Most coaches in the game haven't, and they got to grind it out a little bit. So, when I was at Arcadia, I was working at a golf course in the morning. I would wake up at 5:30 every day. I would work until about 10 o'clock. I'd go over to the school, do things, and I would do lessons till about 9 o'clock at night. Even when I got to Penn as the volunteer there, I had to do the same thing. I did 5:30 in the morning, worked at the same golf course, went into the office, fought Philadelphia traffic a little bit, got into the office, tried to send out as many camp emails as I could and do everything that I could for that staff to help them, with game day and normal just operations. And, then I was working till 10 o'clock at night, doing lessons. So, I think it taught me a chance to really grow up as a person, and it also helped with time management and figuring out what was important and what I valued. As much as sometimes I hated doing lessons, I think it really helped me as a coach because I learned how to communicate with a lot of different ages. I learned how to communicate and see and ask questions for what they were feeling. So, I think that's helped me a lot to get to where I am now, even though maybe it wasn't fun while I was doing it. I feel like I communicate with our players really well, and I've learned what's wrong and what's right. And, I've failed a lot to know now, what not to do and what to do. So, learning from all our head coaches that I've had, all of them are actually very, very different, but I've taken something from each guy, and, I've been able to kind of create a good culture with our
Yeah.
guys, and just being able to do a good
It,
thing.
it you know what it really is amazes me on coaching. You've gone all your life learning to play ball, right? From training and camps and showcases and games and all the things that you've done, and then all of a sudden you're out of baseball and you want to coach, and really the only thing you have to go rely on is experience of coaches that you've played for, right? I mean, there's not like school that for coaching. It's either you got it or you don't. How did you know that you had kind of what it took? Because coaching is such a commitment. It's not a real glamorous thing, right? But and you kind of shared all the the ups and downs and the road that you actually had to go. It wasn't like, hey, I'm a head coach here or whatever position, and everybody looked at you and said, man, you made it. So yeah, right. Yeah. So what kept you going? What did you rely on? And what were you leaning on to really help kind of navigate the learning process that it obviously took to really get to where you are today?
Yeah, no, I mean, I relied on a lot of people around me, family, friends. I'm fortunate enough to have a lot of friends that are extremely supportive of me, and they supported me so much and saying, just keep going, just keep going. I know you're going to do good at it. And
Yeah.
honestly, a lot of the players, around me, I've been extremely fortunate to have extremely great players that have played, under me. And I feel like that, we're friends now. I keep in touch with them, and, they always kind of lifted me up and got extra work in or whatever it is. And for me, that's meaningful for me because I want guys to go play at the next level. I want guys to go succeed in life.
Right.
And when they are able to come to me to ask for those things or ask for extra work, that's kind of really what kept me going, is being able to help them and provide them and solve problems with them, because in the real world, they're going to have to solve problems, and helping them kind of work through that gives me joy.
It's really such a selfless occupation, right? Really the goal is the success of the people that you have on the team, and really that's one of those things that you've got to learn real quick. That's what your focus has got to be. So that's awesome. Looking back at your journey, what was one of the biggest challenges that you had?
Honestly, it was trying to manage doing enough to be able to pay for everything in Philadelphia, living in the middle of the city, and being able to know, like, I really want to do baseball, but how can I do it enough without having to work, so many other jobs? I will thank the people at the golf courses that I've worked at until the day that I'm dead, because every golf course I've ever been a part of, I was in one in Alabama, I was in one in Virginia, I was one in Philadelphia. They let me come in and work, and then whenever I needed to leave, I left. So I think that was one of the biggest challenges, is just kind of figuring out how to make it work and also be there enough to, give my players what they needed, give the coaches on the staff, that I was with what they needed, and be able to be there for everybody, and also, stay connected with all my friends and family. And that's the hardest part about baseball too, is not being away, or is being away from your family a lot and having to move a lot of different places.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
That's something that's been extremely hard and challenging throughout my career.
That it's so true. And you got to put so much faith in yourself, right? You're making these choices that I'm sure during the time didn't look like it was panning out, or there were probably doubts of how long am I going to have to do this, right? I don't want to be doing this golf course thing. I want to do baseball.
Oh, yeah.
And I've got to really believe in who I am and my ability. It really has something to do with baseball in general, right? I mean, baseball is a sport of failure, and it's just continue the grind. What are any stories, any way that you kind of communicate what you went through? I mean, I'm sure your players know kind of what you went through. Do you use that as a motivation of some of the times that they had to kind of pick themselves up and continue?
Yeah. I share a lot with my players. They're my family, and I like guys to be able to come talk to me about things off the field as well. So, a lot of the times, guys will fail on the field for sure, but failing off the field or having, some stuff go on with family is a big thing. And, that's one thing that's made me happy, is being able to talk to those guys and get them through that. I've been through a lot in my life off the field as well. And, I communicate with those guys, and I think that makes them feel a little bit more comfortable coming to me and talking to things, because they know I've been through some things as well.
Yeah.
Fighting adversity is a big piece, and, those guys can understand when you actually care.
Yeah. What's one of your biggest successes of coaching?
Honestly, the players that I've brought out into the world. I've put out a lot of people that do great things now. The successes I can show. Yes, we won a conference championship when I was at Arcadia. We had, quite a few guys now have been drafted from Penn. We've had a few guys play pro ball here from Erskine, but having all 30 guys on the team or 40 guys on the team, however many we had, go out and contribute to society and be good people is something that I'm really proud of. And, those guys are out there doing real world things, most of them.
From your time, in high school, kind of going through that was really the first time, the baseball factory and some of these other recruiting companies really came about, right? That was pretty much pretty new at that time. Right. So today it's all around. Everybody's got opportunities. There's so many opportunities and different businesses that can help. What do you see as the biggest change from what it was like when you were going through it and today?
Well, the biggest change is the technology in general. I mean, we have Perfect Game, we have PBR, we have Twitter, which is the biggest resource that so many people use now. I mean, I don't know how much I'm on Twitter, but it's a lot. I mean, it's almost every day I'm looking up a kid that I saw,
right.
at a JUCO event or a high school event. I want to see more video on him, or I want to see who follows him, that's recruiting him as well, to see who, I'm going to be up against. So it's changed vastly. I mean, there's so many ways to get seen now for players that, if you're good enough, you're going to get seen and you're going to find the right fit, because there's so many people that are going to be able to see you. Yeah. Having the tournaments like Perfect Game and PBR, those weren't really around, when I was coming up to the capacity they are now. I mean, Palm Beach Classic has 100 teams at it. The Georgia event for Perfect Game has 400 teams at it.
Yep.
So, me as a coach, I'm trying to figure out, who do I have relationships to go see, and who do we get guys from, and, how do I navigate that schedule to be able to see the kids that I need to see. And Twitter really does help with that, because I know I can target certain guys to go see, and a lot of them put their schedules up, which is extremely helpful.
That's nice. That's good. When with information also comes some difficulties as well, right? The more information you have, yeah. all of a sudden, are we making the right decision, right? Is this the right kid? Is there another one out there? Back in the day, when I was going, baseball, hey, if you saw somebody, that might be the only coach that actually might be interested in me. Now, all of a sudden, there could be 50 coaches that might be interested. And then there's also 500 players that might be a good fit for your program. It certainly makes your job I think on the surface makes it easier, but it probably makes it a little bit more difficult, because you're always, and I'm not saying you do, but second guessing the decisions that you might make. Is there somebody that's better? I think any other things that when you look back at the changes, what are some other things that you see as really the challenges that you might not have had when you were going through this that these kids have today?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the challenge that they have today is obviously crowded rosters, transfer portal, being able to move guys around, and that's a huge thing. I'll be honest, we do a lot of junior college guys, and we do some Division I kickbacks, and now that guys can go from Division I to Division I, it's a little bit more of a transactional environment, So as a coach, it's hard because you want to make relationships with guys. You want to have these guys for 4 years, but guys can come into the office at the end of their freshman year, and they were the freshman of the year, and they say, "Hey, coach, I want to go to an SEC school, or I want to go to an ACC school because I think I can now." That kid leaves, I got to have another shortstop ready to go.
Yep.
Or I'm going to lose next year and potentially lose my job. So, you got to be a little bit over recruiting. You got to be a little bit cold hearted when it comes down to it. And that's hard for a lot of coaches. And, that's hard for anybody with that, has compassion for people.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No, I always think of as a fan at the professional level, the one thing that you hate to hear as a fan is it's not personal, it's business. It seems like it's now filtering down to the lower levels just because of the opportunities that we open. And I'm not saying it's bad. It's different, right? Having to sit out 1 year was one of those things that kept people from even thinking about maybe transferring, unless it was absolutely a serious situation or whatever. But today, the opportunity is significantly easier. But as a coach, you got to be a little bit more nimble and a little bit more, like you said. I think you said a little more ruthless. I don't know if that was the word you used, but you do see that a little bit. How do you balance that? Because one of the things that you do here is these coaches that are overcommitting, right? The ones that might be looking to sign a commit or get a commitment at a much earlier age than typically seen before. How do you balance needing to do that and staying true to who you are and what you want to build your program based on?
Yeah, I mean, so luckily for us, we only recruit 1 year out, so we're completing our 23 class here soon. But being at the Division I level, guys are on 24s, and I know some are on 25s and even 26s. It's in my opinion, it's hard to balance it because, if you're at the highest level, you got to make the right decisions. And can you project a 2026 to be a good player? You don't know. I mean, but if that kid's a good player now, you almost have to take him, commit him, hold him, tight. And then if he doesn't pan out, then you have to release him and let him go.
Yep.
And that's kind of the world that we've created as coaches. And that's the world that the NCAA has created. And, at the end of the day, it's hard for the kids and it's hard for the coaches. A lot of people say, oh, well, these coaches are doing terrible jobs committing kids so early. But, it's our job to win, and it's our job to bring in good recruiting classes and, not miss, but it creates a conflict between player and coach that, one of the two are going to get a bad name, and that's unfortunate.
No, and it's tough. And you know what? It probably means more at certain levels and at certain programs than it does. I think that a lot, there are programs out there that are looking at the family and the development versus winning and bringing in these players, and neither one is better than the other. It's just a different philosophy, different mindset of what you're doing to stay true to those things. So I think it may be it all is a personal opinion and probably experience of when you hear people having a pros and the cons, right? The players today didn't come up with this idea of a transfer portal, right? It was the players of yesterday. And now the players of today have got to live inside of this new system that they've got to learn. And it's just like learning how to get recruited, right? Back in the day, you and I, there wasn't a lot of resources. Today, you need resources to help you navigate kind of the what's going on. It's the business of baseball. So this has been really a lot of fun, Coach, and I appreciate you kind of being open and honest of what you're doing. But what I'd like to talk about now is really your program and what you are looking for for players. And you talked about, JUCO transfers, D1 to D1. So it's a little bit different than, hey, the kid that's out there that thinks he's good enough to do it. But what would you say really is what you guys are looking for from a player's perspective?
Yeah, from a player's perspective, I'm looking for guys with energy, and I'm looking for guys that I can fix. With the recruiting plan, obviously you're looking for good players. But for me, I'm looking for guys that I can fix and make into better players. When I go out and recruit, I try to find somebody with a clean bad path because I know that I'm not very good at fixing that, but
Okay.
If a guy has, a lower half that I can fix, I know that I can clean that up. I've had success doing it in the past and, I know what I can fix. I know that our pitching coach is really good at putting muscle on guys and, having some sequencing stuff and being able to clean up some mechanics to help them, command the baseball a little bit better. So I know if I can go get some stuff and guys that have good velo or even a good breaking ball, then, that's going to be a guy for us.
Okay.
Also talking with coaches is a big thing. I want to know, what they think of the kid and they know our program and they know what fits and they know what the guys around us are like. And that's a big thing for us as well. So, I'll say that. And then obviously once we find a kid and I talk to them on the phone and see how the conversation goes and, see how interactive they are, bringing him on campus and letting him just hang around our guys. That's our best recruiters. I can say everything I want on the
Right.
phone, but when they get around our guys, they'll know, hey, I like being around these guys. Or, I'll ask some of our guys on our team, hey, is that kid going to be a good fit for us? And sometimes they'll say no. Sometimes they'll say, Coach, we got to have that guy. So, that's our best recruiters. And I know that if I bring a kid in that they don't like, he's probably not going to be a good part of our program.
That's great.
So, there's a lot of things that go into it. And, you got to find your niche as a program. What is going to work in your program and what are the things that you can kind of elevate yourself to the next level. The kid that we recruited at Penn is vastly different than the kid that we recruited at Erskine, and the kid that we recruited at Arcadia is different than the other two. So, you got to find your niche that your program can help and try to utilize that and have that help you win.
That's awesome. Well, piece of advice, because one of the things that you just said is something that I can fix. And I really like that, right? I know what I can fix, so what I'm looking for. What is the advice for these players that may not be able to recognize what they need fixed?
Sure. No, I mean, I think a big thing is talking to a coach on the phone, asking good questions. I talked to a kid from a Iowa JUCO the other day, and he asked me, well, walk me through your development plan. Like, what does that look like? And to ask a coach how he likes to teach and learn how you like to learn. Do you like watching video? Do you like feeling things out? Do you like, having auditory learning? Do you like watching other people's videos? And knowing how that program goes about development is a huge thing. I'm a big component of the Bernstein method, which is the body will organize itself based on a goal. So, right. I do really well with guys with feel. We just put 6 cameras in our stadium. So, now we are able to have the guys that really want video are going to be able to break down video really well. So, my thought for the kids is, ask those questions. Go to the coaches and say, hey, what do you think would be something that I could work on, or what's something that you see that, you could help me with and develop, I'll talk to a kid on the phone and I'll tell him, hey, I saw this in the 4 at-bats I saw today. Send me some extra video. And
right.
Next time we talk on the phone, we'll kind of dive into a little bit more, and ask them questions about, what do they feel? What are they struggling with? And, we'll just kind of talk. And at the end of the day, some kids might hate me and they won't end up coming to Erskine. And some guys will like me and, we'll go win 40 games this year.
That's awesome.
You got to find the right fit and, not necessarily the best program in the country, but the one that you're going to develop in the best.
No, that's good. You have to be aware that you may not be liked, but the ones that do like you, I'm sure, respect what you have to provide to them and what they're looking for. Because it really does go both ways. That's what I love about these conversations. It's you guys are looking for people that are good fits, and then they're also looking for a place that's a good fit. And really that marriage is what everybody's looking for. And I think it's important to ask questions, be open and honest. Will, you've been very honest with me and talking about the way that you're trying to build your program, and I really respect that and appreciate the opportunity to talk to you about this. Talk a little bit about Erskine. What's great about the college, and what are some things that kids would love to see, and the reason why they may want to put you guys on a preferred list of schools to take a look at?
Yeah, no, I mean, honestly, what we've built over the last 4 years that I've been here and the 6 years that Mark Crocco, our head coach, has been here, the best thing that I can sell is our guys, when I'm in the recruiting process, that's what I end up talking about. It's a small town. We have no stoplights. There's a couple of restaurants. So, if you want to be a guy that's going to go, hey, I want to play baseball and I want to play at the next level, this is going to be the place for you. We have covered cages with lights in it. And I promise you, there's guys hitting in the cage right now. It's 8:40 at night. I guarantee you those hack attacks are just humming down there. So, we got guys that want to go play at the next level. That's one of the questions I always ask guys, like, what are your goals for the future? Okay. And I think every guy on our team now, since I have all my recruiting classes in that I've recruited, said that I want to go play professional baseball.
Awesome.
So now, obviously, that's not in the cards for all of them, but you're going to have guys around you that's their goal. Our guys work extremely hard in the weight room. Our guys work extremely hard off the field. And they get their work in on their own. Obviously we have a practice set that we go through, but I'm never worried about guys not getting their swings in, because they're going to go down and destroy themselves off the hack attack and ask me for new batting gloves every other day because they took 4,000 swings. So, if that's what you want to be a part of, and you're not worried about, the big school environment, then it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer to come here. And we've had a guy go play professional baseball every year that I've been here, and I hope that we continue that trend, with even more.
That's awesome.
So, that's what we want to do here, and we want to go win a national championship.
That's great. I love it. I absolutely love it. I'm just thinking about that. If you want to go with zero distractions, it's a perfect place, right?
Yeah, it's a great place. There's a lot of athletes on campus, and it's guys have a great time with each other and all the other athletes on campus and stuff, but they're there to work. They're there to work and play at the next level. That's why junior college has been so good for us, because those guys don't have a lot in junior college, and they come in and they're like, man, this is unbelievable. You're telling me I can hit all the time, and I have a locker room and a player's lounge, and I can hang out with all the guys, and we're good.
That's great. That's great. Well, hey, I appreciate it. Coach, it's been a lot of fun. Thank you for this opportunity to get to know you and get to know your program. We'll be cheering you on. Looking forward to watching your program. How's it look for next year? You said you're kind of getting the recruiting all done for next year. How's it look?
Yeah, I think we're going to be pretty good, man. We this next season coming up is one that we're proud of. We got a lot of guys in that we want to get in, and we got the defending national champions in our conference, and they got a lot of returners, and they're going to be good. But we want to be up there with them. So
that's great.
It's going to be.
That's great, Coach Kaufman. Thank you very much. You have a great evening.
I appreciate you having me.
Thank you.